for that mate. They dumb. Man, now catch the foot. They ain't ready for that mate. They dumb. Bitch.
Something to your mother. You on probation, right? You just approached me, threatening me. Your words was, we step on, okay? You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we, so that's in cohorts. I mean a gang. You on probation. Then you had a fella with you that was possessing a gun. You are not supposed to be around with people that had guns. Eyewitness, along with other witnesses, saw your friend with a short body with the fat, pudgy stomach that hangs above or over his waistline like a kangaroo pouch. The fat mother was clutching the gun. His exact words as he was clutching the gun or appearing to be clutching the gun. I assumed it was a gun. I think it was a gun. I believe it was a gun, right? That makes it aggravated assault. His words was, don't lose your life in her. My words was, do it. Then other people came out and interfered. I proceeded to brandish the mace and pull out the mace and say, you niggas will get maced. So I understand we was on a private airport's property, which is under the Federal Aviation Administration. So first thing Monday morning, because you said Jeffrey Williams on probation, aka King Slime, aka Young Thug, you said we step on. Your other brother, your goon with the gang chain, the YSL spider chain, pretending to clutch a gun as he was assuming to be brandishing and holding the gun, said don't lose your life. I am now in fear of my life. Swear to God I am. I'm gonna contact my attorney. First thing Monday morning, we will be going to the courts to file a restraining order against you for my protection. Not only that, I will be contacting the federal authorities because you made a threat while possessing a gun.
Them niggas told gun.
Hey, Jeffrey, I got the pictures and the faces. I got close-up pictures of the faces of the guys you was with, especially the one that made the threats. That seemed, listen, I got a close-up picture of their face. I'm giving them to the people, nigga, because I know them convicted fellas. As of right now, I'm undefeated. Can't nobody beat me. I done ran into every rapper y'all thought was somebody. Listen, I disrespect Thug, baby mama. I disrespect everything about Young Thug. You saw me last night and caught. We step on. Who was we? That nigga, them niggas didn't do nothing. Now, they had a chance to do something. When they see I had that mace, they caught that.
Something major is being alleged right now involving Young Thug. And according to what's circulating, an interaction at a public gathering escalated to the point where talk of threats and possible legal involvement is now being thrown around. The reports indicate that emotions ran high, exchanges happened, and the situation may have moved into territory where law enforcement and potential charges could come into play. At this point, the real focus isn't just the dialogue itself, it's what actually unfolded in that moment, because the versions being shared don't match up across different accounts. So the bigger question becomes whether this is simply something that got blown out of proportion or a scenario that could carry real consequences, depending on what evidence surfaces next. Listen to this, because what people are saying already shows how this narrative is being shaped in real time. And to be clear, nobody outside of that moment has complete clarity on exactly what took place. I wasn't present and I didn't witness anything firsthand either. But the way the language is being used suggests the claims may be getting stretched beyond what can be verified right now. When you look at the caption being shared, it describes a version of events where Young Thug and his associates allegedly confronted someone at an event, and the situation didn't play out smoothly. It also goes on to suggest that threats were made and that there was an attempt involving intimidation on site in Miami, which is why the conversation is now shifting toward possible charges. However, the wording matters a lot here, because terms like pretended or I believe introduce uncertainty rather than confirmed facts. From that angle, it raises a simple but important point. Either a weapon was actually presented or it wasn't, and that distinction changes everything legally. That kind of scenario, if proven, could fall under aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which is treated very seriously in most jurisdictions. And speaking generally, situations involving weapons during confrontations are never something to take lightly, because the legal consequences can apply regardless of whether force is used. Keeping it real, laws in places like Texas and Florida tend to treat these matters seriously, and similar standards often apply when a firearm is involved in a dispute. Even displaying or brandishing a weapon in an argument can lead to prison time, depending on the circumstances and evidence.
No matter how you look at it, these situations are not the kind you want to escalate or insert yourself into unnecessarily. Speaking plainly, this is the type of environment where reputations and reactions can get amplified quickly, especially when public figures are involved. Now, shifting perspective, this is where commentary about Charleston White comes into play, because his presence at events often becomes part of the narrative. Observers have pointed out that he tends to align himself with rappers and public appearances where attention is already concentrated. Conversations or exchanges may happen in those environments, sometimes even brief or subtle, which then get interpreted in different ways afterward. But from a broader lens, his pattern appears to involve positioning himself in spaces where visibility is high, which naturally keeps his name circulating in discussions. Whether you agree with that approach or not, it's something that seems consistent with how he operates publicly. If Young Thug did say something in that setting, then accountability for those words would still rest on that individual alone, independent of outside commentary. At the same time, the criticism being directed at Charleston White often focuses on his perceived lack of adherence to certain social codes or expectations. Some argue that he prioritizes relevance over relationships, which is why he continues to engage in controversial spaces and discussions. Historically, there have been claims about his past interactions with people he once associated with, which are often brought up in these conversations. Those claims include statements suggesting he has admitted to cooperating with authorities at one point, though interpretations of those remarks vary depending on who is speaking. He has also publicly pushed back on those narratives by challenging others to provide concrete proof or documentation. Statements like asking for evidence or verified records are typically used to counter allegations and shift the burden of proof back onto critics. In the end, what we're seeing is a mix of claims, interpretations, and public reactions all layered on top of each other. And until something concrete is confirmed, a lot of what's being discussed remains subject to perspective rather than fact. That's why separating verified information from speculation is critical before concluding. That's just a persona. The Rat Williams label is a character, nothing more, and he's denied ever putting anyone else in a position like that up until claims started circulating. The argument being made is that if something similar truly happened, it would reflect the same pattern people are accusing him of, rather than separating the performance from the person behind it. But here's where the critique gets sharper. Character isn't just about what someone portrays publicly, it's about how they handle responsibility when pressure is on. In situations like the ones being discussed, accountability becomes the real dividing line, especially when serious allegations like involvement in a crime are brought into the conversation. Listen closely, because the narrative being pushed suggests actions that include influencing others and then distancing oneself when consequences appear. From that perspective, the claim is that decisions made in high-stakes moments reveal more about a person than anything said on a platform. There's also a strong opinion being expressed that some individuals prioritize self-preservation above loyalty, particularly when situations escalate beyond control. In those scenarios, people often believe certain figures will step back rather than stand firm with others involved. And that belief is what fuels the criticism being directed here. Whether it's fair or exaggerated depends on what actually happened behind the scenes. At the same time, there's a broader commentary about how public personalities interact with the culture that elevated them in the first place. Girl, this is where it gets interesting, because the argument shifts from personal behavior to influence and responsibility within a community. The idea being presented is that platforms thrive because of the audience and the ecosystem around them, not just the individual speaking. That includes the conversations, the names being discussed, and the attention drawn from those topics. So when a creator consistently engages with high-profile figures, it naturally becomes part of their growth strategy, whether intentional or not. And when that same creator later distances themselves from that space, it can create tension between perception and identity. There's also a point being made that speaking on the culture while benefiting from it can come across as contradictory to some viewers, because without that cultural connection, the reach and engagement may not be the same. In this view, relevance is tied directly to participation in the same environment being critiqued. So when names, personalities, and communities are repeatedly referenced, it reinforces visibility, and that visibility is often what sustains attention across different platforms and audiences. Ultimately, the debate here centers on authenticity versus strategy, and whether public actions align with the message being projected. So now you're over there switching lanes, stepping into another space for a check, then trying to come back and reinsert yourself into YouTube after previously claiming you were beyond it. And the part that raises eyebrows is how that same energy gets used to distance yourself from the very culture that helped build your audience in the first place, only to return to it when it's convenient again. Hold up, some people find that entertaining, and sure, certain personalities can be funny at times, but that doesn't automatically validate everything they stand on. Even a broken clock can be right twice a day, and sometimes something unexpected can still resonate despite the larger pattern. But keeping it real, the core issue isn't about jokes or moments, it's about consistency in message versus actions over time. If Young Thug were actually involved in the kind of situation being alleged, then that would create a completely different narrative, but that's not something that should be assumed without proof. And if he wasn't involved, then responding recklessly could potentially create unnecessary complications, especially with authorities already paying attention. Because in situations like this, public figures, particularly Atlanta-based artists, are operating under heightened scrutiny, whether they acknowledge it or not. There's no room for loose language or indirect implications when investigations are active, since anything said can be interpreted and examined. Law enforcement presence, along with ongoing monitoring, means that even small actions can be viewed through a much larger lens. Listen carefully, because this is where the environment becomes a factor as much as the individuals themselves. The idea being pushed is that there are multiple layers of oversight, including local authorities and federal attention, all feeding into how incidents are reviewed. And when a region becomes a focus point, especially in the music scene, the pressure increases for those operating within it to stay cautious. That means decisions, conversations, and even public reactions carry more weight than they normally would. So the takeaway being emphasized here is less about any single person and more about how behavior aligns with awareness of consequences. In other words, moving without considering the broader implications can quickly turn into something much bigger than intended.
Are displayed here in front of me. The multi-agency collaboration at the federal, state, and local levels, and the transnational nexus to all of these cases.
Everyone. Thank you for being here today as we announce the launch of the Homeland Security Task Force Network here in Atlanta, a city that is known.
I suggest you stay out of the way, focus on your own money, and handle your responsibilities. Let's just keep it real. At the end of the day, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm standing on that. But I want to hear from you too, because this is exactly what people are talking about right now. It's all over timelines, circulating across blogs, and the conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. We've got more updates on the way. Listen, when you step back and look at the bigger picture involving Young Thug, what stands out is how many different narratives are being pushed at the same time. At the end of the day, whether the situation is being amplified or not, the reality is that multiple accounts are competing to define what actually happened. And once claims start evolving into accusations, and those accusations begin to carry potential legal weight, the focus naturally shifts to what can be proven rather than what's being said. That's the point where speculation stops being useful, and verification becomes the only thing that matters. So instead of reacting to every clip, every caption, and every post as it appears, the smarter approach is to pause and evaluate what holds up under scrutiny. Because not everything trending online reflects the full context of a situation. Sometimes the pacing of social media can make events feel more definitive than they actually are. And that's where patience becomes important, especially when the details are still unfolding. Now here's the real question. After seeing all the different angles being presented, does this feel like something overblown, or is there genuinely more underneath that hasn't been fully revealed yet?